Shalom, giving all praise to Yahawashi, Rawchaa, Qadash, and Shalom to the hopeful elect out there. I'm doing a little quick video. Let's hope it's quick. Bless the spirit jump on me. Anyway, I'll entitle this video 2 Samuel 8, verse 14, and the word garrison, which is part of the history of Israel in the New Testament, Old Testament, and the New Testament. Although I don't believe they use the word garrison in the New Testament, but garrisons were set up by the Romans in 70 AD. Garrisons were set up when during the time of Antiochus Epiphanes, during the time of the Maccabees. Israel set up garrisons over other nations. King David set up a garrison over the Edomites. Garrison, and then even today, you have garrisons in this country. It's all about jurisdiction. That wall that they've been talking about for years, building to not let Mexicans in, is basically is a garrison. So now I was watching this guy. It's a financial guy. Schiff. I was watching him last night. He was talking about the legislation about building a wall. And he said, I wasn't with it because I see that wall really being built to keep Americans in, which is a garrison. They're saying we're keeping the Mexicans out, but it's really set up. He believes that it's a wall to keep Americans in because it's going to get so bad out here, just like other countries, poor countries, flee that country, go into another country for a better way of life. It's going to get so bad out here, 2nd Ezra chapter 15, 16, that they're going to be looking to flee to another city or flee to another jurisdiction. So, I'm going to get into it. And like I said, this is based upon a video that's not even up yet. It'll be another 3 hours. I'll watch it. Because, vocab, his thing is to debunk anything that we have to say concerning us, to bring doubt to it. So now I don't know exactly what he's going to say in the video, but I'm not going to wait to see it, to speak on it, but I'm just going to speak on it right now. And then let's see what's said in the video. It may be a short. Anyway, so you can see here, it said vocab Malone, street apologist, deceptive Israelite, completely stumped on Edom, and 2 Samuel 8 and 14. So this is what I did. Let's just let this come up. Okay, so it's right here. It's right here. So what I did was I went to the precept, and then I clicked to get every time it mentions the word garrison or garrisons. It says 2 Samuel 8 verse 14, and he put garrisons in Edom. Throughout all Edom put he garrisons, and all they of Edom became David's servants or slaves, and Yahawah preserved David whithersoever he went. When you put garrisons around somebody, around the people, that's to enslave them. Now, you know what? Now, wait a minute. In the eyes of the Most High, isn't that wrong? It says, and Yahawah preserved David and Yahawah preserved David whithersoever he went. Anything he did, the Most High was with. The Most High blessed David. So the Most High blessed David for enslaving Edomites. So now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to look up the word servant. Bear me for a minute. Let this pop up. Okay, here we go. See now, right here they'll say Adam, Adam or Adama, but then it says Ba, meaning in Adawam, which is a land of Edom. So it says in Edom, set up garrisons in Edom. Guess what? The people Edom share the same name with the land Edom. So the actual word here is Adawam, not Adam or Adama. So the blue letter goes off, so you got to watch for that. Throughout all Edom, put he garrisons. All Edom became David's servant. So let's look up the word servant. Okay, the word is ibad. Servant is a nice way of saying slave. He put them in slavery. Slave, servant, man, servant, subject, servant, worshiper of God, meaning we're servants of the Most High, servant in special sense as prophets, Levites. Right, because we're servants. The prophets are servants to the Yahawah Yahawashi. So any of you individuals that claim to be servants or men of the Lord, and that the spirit of prophecy is on you, the scriptures tell you that a prophet's supposed to go out there and just keep teaching. Not, there's a lot of guys out there that turn their back on the plow, that took time off, that took months off, that took years off, that take winters off. You're not prophets. You're not serving to the Most High because you're not doing his will. The Apostle Paul, as I always say, he called himself prisoner of Yahawashi. He called his fellow laborers yoke fellows. He said he was a fool for Yahawashi's sake. So you don't do what you want to do. You do, once you come into this fold and you tell the world that you're a prophet of the Lord, you got to do exactly what the scriptures say. The guidebook is the scriptures. Like you have certain Israelite groups that'll teach things that clearly goes against the scriptures, but they'll teach it because their leader taught it that way. So basically what they are mockingbirds. See, back at the One West days, we used to always have arguments over the scriptures. Even Ariah taught certain things, and I pulled him to the side and said, "Well, Ariah, let's look at this again." And then he would look at it and he would say, "You know what? You're right. Let's have a meeting on that. We're changing that." I mean, little things. I remember at one time he said the book of Luke, the 3rd chapter, Esau put that in there. The real genealogy is Matthew chapter 1. Well, both genealogies are correct. Both genealogies are correct. Matthew's 1 was talking about our Lord's biological father, Joseph, which the Christians don't believe. That's another argument right there. And the book of Luke 3 is the genealogy of Mary's father, not Mary, but Mary's father, Heli. Joseph's father was a man by the name of Jacob. And they both went back to King Solomon and King David. Yeah, but wait a minute, Tahar. It says that line starts with David and Nathan, the son of David. Yes, you're correct, but it links back to both Solomon and David. And I can deal with that in another video. So it says servant of Israel, servant as form of address between equals. So, let's look at some of these words. Wait a minute. It's servant 744 times, manservant 23 times, bondmen 21 times, bondage, that's a harsh word, bond servant on all sides. The most potent definition to make you understand what it means by he made Edom servants, he made them slaves. They were slaves. It said the elder shall serve the younger, meaning slaves. So let me come back over here. You know what I'm gonna do? See, when the Romans just took us down in 70 AD, that was payback for what we did to them, because the elite among the Romans knew that they were Edomites. Now, there's no records on it, but you have these scholars among so-called Jews. There's more than one that they all say the same thing. Not all of them, but some of them. If you read some of the articles, don't take my word for it. Do the research yourself. And they say that the Romans are descended from the ancient biblical Edomites. And they're correct. 2 Samuel 14, okay. And see, the ultimate garrison that Esau is going to use against us is the MOTB. Because you don't need to put up fences or anything like that. Back in 70 AD, it said they put a trench, and that word trench is a like the how do you call it, the foundation for a garrison. They built a wall around Jerusalem. So let me read it. It says, and David put garrisons in Edom, meaning the land of Edom, throughout all Edom, put he garrisons, so they couldn't get out. He killed a lot of them. He put them in. He locked them in, and he made them work for him in their own land. And all day of Edom became David's servants or slaves. The word they were slaves, and Yahawah preserved David whithersoever he went. So this is a good precept to show you that the Most High condones slavery. The Most High condones one nation putting another nation into captivity. The Most High condones one nation, Israel, utterly slaughtering another nation, the Canaanites, the seventh family of the Canaanites, which all came out of Canaan. The Girgashites, the Girgashites, the Hivites, the parasites, they were all Canaan. So the Most High told them, just kill their babies, the pregnant women, kill them. And see, that's why these Edomites, when they came and conquered this land through a concept called manifest destiny, and what was it, the Monroe Doctrine, they pretty much, that goes back to the tradition of the papal bull during the time of Christopher Columbus, where I think the Pope at that time, I don't know if this guy recently died and another Pope came in, but I believe it was Caesar Borgia's father, Rodrigo Borgia, and I did videos on that. I don't remember exactly. You can always do the research. You can correct me, but I'm almost positive it was Rodrigo Borgia that signed off on that papal bull. And he said, from Europe, from Spain, how did he say it? He said, anywhere that you go west of Spain or Europe, that's all your land. That's all your land. Now you have people over there. They had the tribes over there. or I was going to get into another topic on the 10 tribes, the Northern Kingdom being over here in Americas. I have 2 books, and there's more than one book, more than 2 books written on the subject, but I have a book that I looked for. I don't know where I put it, but I found it, Lost Tribes in the Promised Land. And James Adair, History of the American Indians. And both of those books, and there's a lot of information in Lost Tribes in the Promised Land, where these Edomites that came over here, that they all said these are the Israelites. We're conquering the Israelites because they kept the history. See, the whole setup of the Esau setting up Roman Catholicism, where'd you think they get it from? They got it from the Israelites. That tradition goes all the way back to 300 to be exact, 325 AD, Constantine. That was the birth of Roman Catholicism, which Jake set up. So they kept the records, man. So they knew when they came over here to the Americas, here I go again, they knew that they were going to encounter Israelites. So you Israelites out there to say that those are not the people, well, wait a minute, who are they then? Where'd they come from? They were just already here. No. The birth of mankind took place in what's called the Fertile Crescent. The Most High didn't just scatter people all over the earth. So where did those people come from? I'm going off into a little side note, so to speak. And what language did they speak? They spoke Hebrew. These different scholars, James Adair, and these different there's a guy named Manasseh in the book, and others in the Lost Tribes book, where they say they that was a big thing back then. Back then in the 1500s, 1600s, and beyond. The big thing was when they came over there, they kept saying the same thing. Oh, that these are the 10 tribes. You know, these are the Israelites. This is the Northern Kingdom. Because when they came over here with the scriptures, right? The Puritans. How did Christianity and Catholicism come over here to the Americans? By the Europeans. So they were always reading the book. And then remember, the Catholics, part of their book was the Apocrypha. It was the Protestants that said, oh, we don't accept the Apocrypha. But the Roman Catholics, where Protestantism, Calvinism, whatever you want to call it, they all, Baptists, Methodists, they all came out of Roman Catholicism or among the Roman Catholics. That's why they believe that Mary never had sex with Joseph. What else? Vocab has this crazy doctrine that it's called supersessionism. Hope I said that right. Or replacement theology. Look up the word, go to Google and put in the word replacement theology, and it'll give you the word also supersessionism, which means anytime you read about Israel, especially in the New Testament, it's pretty like in Revelation 7. It's not talking about actual Israel, it's talking about the body of believers. This is why we don't want to deal with that guy. You make some outlandish, bugged out statement like that. Even scholars don't believe in that nonsense. So so I said, let me do this. I went to the commentary, of course. And I yesterday I went through the precept. The Spirit was working with me. I should have did the video then. So I got to hope that I remember everything. But anyway, let's hope it'll lead me to the right space, the right path that I got to go. So it says Cambridge Bible. This is the only one that I read. Cambridge Bible for schools and colleges. Like I said, these guys are either hit or miss. So garrisons, see note on 2 Samuel 8, verse 6. Then David put garrisons in Syria. So he didn't just take down, David took down those surrounding. What David had was an empire, not as vast as the Romans, or not as vast as Esau today, but he had an empire. You know, when you have an empire, that means you took down other nations and they serve you. All right. It says, then David put garrisons in Syria of Damascus, and the Syrians became servants, or the word there is slaves, to David. And the Most High was with that, and brought gifts, and the Lord Yahawah preserved David whithersoever he went. So the Most High condemns captivity. So when we say that Esau and the other nations are going to be slaves under us, they want to say, no, see, Jesus. So you mean Jesus went against the Father? The Lord, the scriptures say, not my will. The Lord said that, not my will. He didn't want to die on the cross. He didn't want to get beat by the Romans. And he had the power to destroy the Roman Empire. But his mission was, I'm going to give you that power. You can call down 12, what was it? 12 legions of angels, which is about 7,000 times 12. Give me the number. And one angel can destroy the whole earth. Remember what one angel did to 185,000 Assyrians. Remember what another angel did to 85,000 Israelites during the time of King David. So the Most High only needs one angel. Angels are the ultimate juggernauts. They adapt to the power. Whatever power you got, they can become a greater power than that. So this is going to be a hell of a ride when the Most High take this place down and we enslave the whole world. That's the key word, slavery, man. And you Edomites are going to be number one on the list, starting with the super rich, because they're going to be preserved. They're not going to be in America when the missiles hit. They know that the missiles are going to hit America. The Russians don't necessarily have missiles pointed at Poland or, they're ready because they're NATO nations. But they said when the shit goes down and this becomes a nuclear war, the first target is the good old USA, and that's going to happen. That's Babylon being destroyed. There was a lot of good videos from the various brothers and elders that it's so much stuff coming at me, man. There's so much stuff I can speak. So if you say, forgive me in my babbling, if you say, well, I don't have a topic, then guess what? You don't have the spirit. That's a topic right there. If you don't have a topic, you don't have the spirit. So don't be pretending you one of the elect and you're a prophet of the Lord, but you ain't got no topic. Well, I ain't got nothing to speak on. Brother, there's so many things to speak on right now. I wish I can clone myself and do five videos while I'm doing this, 5 other videos with my clones. You know, I'm bugging, but there's so many things happening and there's so many things to speak on. We're in the time of Habakkuk 2, the first couple of verses. And sometimes I'll sit in front of the computer and I'll look for things. I'll check out other brothers to get ideas. And sometimes I'm here for 2-3 hours, just looking, and then eventually the spirit will hit me, boom. I might say, let me go take a little nap, lay down, close my eyes for 15 minutes. Something comes to my head, boom, I got a title for a video. So now this video that I'm doing now is based upon what I wanted to do last night, but I was a little tired. So it says, garrison C note on 2 Samuel 8, verse 6. So not only did he enslave Edomites, he enslaved the surrounding nations. Stresses are laid by the words throughout all Edom, or the Edomites, because Edomites were not necessarily spread out. They were in their land. They spread out to other lands later in history. On the completeness with which David subjugated. The Constitution said that if you read the 14th Amendment, the 13th Amendment, the 14th Amendment, it speaks about that we're citizens of the United States and of the state that we dwell in, meaning and subject to the laws. Subject, the word subject means that sub meaning on the bottom, you on the bottom. So for a nigger to jump up and say, I'm not a slave, well, he's the worst kind of slave. That's the worst kind of slave, a slave that don't know that he's a slave. And guess what? Through the 13th and 14th Amendment, other fellow Edomites are slaves as well. Anytime you take an oath to become an American citizen, guess what? You become a slave to the American system. But they use nicer terms. Subjection and servant sounds much nicer. It says, thus was fulfilled the first part of Isaac's prophecy, Genesis 27, 37 to 40. I'll just read this one verse. And Isaac answered and said to Esau, behold, I have made him your Lord. So now if you notice, it says, thus was fulfilled the first part of Isaac's prophecy. Because ultimately, Esau is going to be our servant during the time of King David, King Solomon, and other kings. Then they broke the yoke. I should go into that. And they broke the yoke. As a matter of fact, let me do this. No, I don't have to do it. I just quoted it. But anyway, it says, thus was fulfilled the first part of Isaac's prophecy, Genesis 27, 37 to 40. And Balaam's prophecy, Numbers 24, verse 17 to 18. Now, this is what I'm going to do. Let me take Numbers 24, 17 to 18. And I might want to go Numbers 24, 17. Okay, so I'm already there. Numbers 24, 17. So you notice the commentator said, this is the first of the fulfillment of prophecies of Esau. This is what I want. This is another one of my favorite scriptures too, Numbers 23, the story of Balaam and Balak. Okay, let me start from the 14th verse. So this is Balaam speaking to Balak, the king of Moab. And now, behold, I go unto my people, come therefore, and I will advertise thee what this people, the Israelites, shall do to thy people in the what? In the latter days. So when you look up the latter days, it means the end of the world. So this, what this man is getting ready to speak on hasn't happened yet. It said, and he took up his parable and said, Balaam, the son of Beor, has said, and the man whose eyes are open have said. What did that mean? He was a prophet. So can other nations be prophet? Yes. Balaam was a prophet of the Lord. He did the will of the Lord, even though he was of another nation. In the 23rd chapter, he said at the end of the day, when everything's said and done, he wished he could be an Israelite, but unfortunately, he's not an Israelite. But he could be happy that he's not an Edomite. It said, he have said, which heard the words of the Most High and knew the knowledge of the Most High. This was another nation that knew the knowledge of the Most High. So this Esau noted, Esau knows, but Esau doesn't know. In other words, Esau knows what's going to happen. Esau knows everything that we're saying is going to come to pass, but he's trying to find a way to outsmart the Most High. How can you outsmart the Most High when the Most High made you? which saw the vision of the Almighty falling into a trance, but his eyes are open. I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel, and shall smite the corners of Moab, and destroy all the children of Seth. And Edom shall be a possession. Seir also shall be a possession for his enemies, and Israel shall do valiantly. Israel is talking about Israelites. Most are going to put the spirit, that's Micah 5 and 7. So wait a minute. So when the Lord comes back in the future, in the near future, he's coming back to destroy people and put other nations in slavery. It says, out of Jacob shall come he that shall have dominion. Dominion means to be, see, they call us the Black Hebrew Israelites. They're a Black supremacist group. Supremacy just means to be over something. You know, right now we're in the midst of the two conferences, the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference. March Madness already took place. The draft is ready to come. I don't keep up with the NBA that much, but around the time of the playoffs, I keep up with it. And then you have the championship game. Why do these guys work so hard and get paid so much? Because it's all about who's going to win the championships, the NBA championships. And then what do they say? If, let's say, the Sacramento Kings win, they said now the Sacramento Lakers have supremacy. Basically, you can use that term. The sport writers, they have supremacy. When you win a gold medal in the Olympics, when you stand up on that, you do all that work for 4 years to stand up on a pedestal and say number one and get a gold put around your neck. You look at the guy next to you, the guy that got the silver, he's happy, but he ain't as happy as the guy with the gold. And then the bronze guy is not as happy. You know? So the Olympics is all about supremacy. They celebrating supremacy. And what do they do in the Olympics? They'll have a scoreboard. And the Olympics is next year, 2004, summer of 2024. They'll say, okay, let's go into a list of how many gold medals. Okay, U.S. as of right now has 25 gold medals. China is right behind them with 22. Russia is right behind them with 19. So what is that? What are they advertising? They're advertising supremacy. And you get all into that. That's what the World Cup is all about. If the U.S. plays in the World Cup, go down to Manhattan, go down to any of them bars. They're all in the bars. They all got it on the World Cup, and they're rooting for America, which is what? They're looking for America to win so they can have supremacy in the world of soccer. So how are you going to take the word supremacy and make it a negative word? To the victors goes the spoils. So it says, I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star out of what? Out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel. That's our Lord. It said the scepter shall not pass, or Lord giveth from between his feet until Shiloh come, and to him shall the gathering of the people be. I merely paraphrase it. I think I said it exactly the way it's supposed to be said. That's Genesis 49. So Shiloh is who? That's another name for Yahawashi. Shiloh means peace. Solomon means peaceful. It says in a scepter, the man that has a scepter in his hand and the crown on his head, he's sitting on the throne, he has supremacy over his subjects. Shall rise out of Israel, in particular Judah, and shall smite the corners of Moab and destroy all the children of Seth. And Edom shall be a possession. Seir also shall be a possession for his enemies. And Israel shall do valiantly. The men of Israel shall do valiantly. Out of Jacob shall come he that shall have dominion, supremacy, and shall destroy him that remaineth of the city. And ultimately, the city's going to be destroyed, which is the U.S. And when he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable and said Amalek was the first of the nations, but his latter end shall be that he perish forever. What is that? Obadiah 1 verse 18. And he looked on the Kenites and took up his parable and said, strong is thy dwelling place, and thou puttest thy neck in a rock. Nevertheless, the Kenites shall be wasted until Ashur shall carry thee away captive. So from this point on, it was all about nations having supremacy over other nations, but ultimately we are going to have supremacy over the other nations through the Lord. When the Lord come back, he's coming back to destroy the nations. Number one on the list are the Edomites, and then he's going to, the rest of them that survive, because he's not going to kill all the Edomites, not yet. They're going into captivity, and they're going to try to fight us. And we're going to have our X-Men power. We're going to be coming like Thanos, man, and Thanos and Doom. You know, Doom killed Kal-El. He body slammed them and killed them. So we're going to have more power. You know, we're going to have power like that. We're going to really have power. We can, you know, cause fire to come down from heaven, change things, take something like, what did the Lord do? One of the first miracles he did, and they said he did so many miracles, that the world couldn't contain all the books. So they witnessed him doing a lot of things. So, and then he said this, he said, the things that I do, you shall do in greater. You shall do in greater. So we're going to be supermen, and our women are going to be super women. Our children are going to be super children. We're going to be special. Daniel 12, we're going to have a glow about us. Because you'll be able to tell the difference from a dusty African and an Israelite. And for you simple ass Negroes, all that Kemetic stuff, if y'all really about that Kemet life, go over there to Sudan and help them people over there. They killing each other. Y'all ain't getting on, y'all ain't talking about that. You can hotep your ass on out of here. Anyway, let me I'm rambling a little too much. But so if the Cambridge for Bible for schools and colleges was honest with themselves, they did say that was the first of the captivities of Esau. And then he kind of went into the second. They mentioned this one, but as you read this is a fulfillment of what? Matter of fact, let me go to that. Let me do this. Bear with me for a minute. Because I think they actually kind of come out and say it. Okay. Let me do it this way. Bring this up, copy it, and let me come over here. So this is what they mentioned, right? I didn't read the rest of these, but they all say the same thing. Matthew Henry's concise commentary, all the precious things David was master of were dedicated things. They were designed, the idols of gold, David, they're playing around. Okay, let's go down to this one. Burns notes on the Bible, the Syrians read the Edomites as in marginal references on Psalm 61 to 12. Maybe read that later. And as the context, 2 Samuel 8 through 14 requires for a further account of this war of, ooh, that's a heavy word right there. for requires for a further account of this war of extermination with Edom. See 1 Kings 11, 15 and 16. I got to come back to that. I'll come back to that. The war with Edom was of some duration, but without serious reserves and dangers to the Israelites. 2 Samuel 8 verse 2. Note the different accounts probably relate to different parts of the campaign. Let me read this one. David got him a name when he returned from smiting of the Syrians. Instead of Syrians, the Septuagint, ooh. Now this is something that we got to use, because when it says thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, right? In one of the translations, the word there is Syrians. So it's supposed to say thou shalt not abhor a Syrian, because we had Hebrews of our family that were like the family like Laban and Rebecca. They were called Syrians. Were they Syrians? No, they weren't Syrians. They were Hebrews. They were Israelites, but they weren't called Israelites as of yet. But anyway, we can use this. David got him a name when he returned from smiting of the Syrians. Instead of Syrians, the Septuagint version reads Edomites, which is the true reading, as is evident from 2 Samuel 8 verse 14. So a couple of verses above that, it says Syrians, but it was really Edomites. And then ironically, what was Antiochus Epiphanes known as? Was not he known as a Syrian? He wasn't a Syrian, he was an Edomite. It said this conquest made by the army of David was due to the skillful generalship and gallantry of Abishai and Joab. And give you references. The valley was the ravine of salt, adjoining the salt mountain at the southwest extremity of the Dead Sea, separating the ancient territories of Judah and Edom. Right, because Edom is south of Judah. These people are on point today on this particular. And see, this is why they say Edomites are done away with. We don't know what the Edomite looks like. Or they'll say the Edomites are the Ishmaelites. Even Jake say that. There's a reason why they said they're not the Edomites. And by the way, Edomites are done away with. Well, wait a minute. What about the rest of these prophecies? Because when you go back to Numbers 24, it speaks about the star coming with a scepter in his hand, and he's gonna smite the Edomites. So did the Lord already come already? No, he didn't. So the Edomites are still here. We know we have identified who the Edomites are. So where am I? Okay, so this is what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna go to Numbers. I'm gonna go to Numbers. Bear with me for a minute. So like I said, I'll watch the video that Vocab did to see what these Israelites did, and see if you gotta be ready for everything. You gotta know that history. I'm not saying you gotta know every aspect of the history of the scriptures, because it's impossible. But you got to have some. If they mention Solomon, if they mention David, if they mention Moses, if they mention Aaron, Joshua, you should damn sure know the New Testament. You should damn sure know all the prophecies, but you should also have an understanding of history. If somebody says, name me all the kings of Israel, there's no way I can't. Even if I studied it, I couldn't remember that. You know, you don't have to remember all that stuff. So now let me see. Bear me for a minute. Okay, in accordance with Numbers 24, verse 14, let me read again. It says a star, right? It says a star out of Jacob. You know what I'm gonna do? Let me look up the word star. Let me do a word find on the word star. Okay, good. Boom. Now it makes it a lot easier for me. In accordance with Numbers 24, verse 14, Balaam treats of the future of Israel, right, which is right now, which is getting ready to happen. I see him, Israel, but not now, as he is. Now, I behold him, but not nigh, encamped as he is. In other words, he's seeing Israel in their power. He's saying, you know what, you want to curse these people? Let me tell you what these people are going to do that you want to curse in the future. They're going to jack you up, and as Ariel would say, going to jack you up. They're going to jack up all the neighboring peoples around about Israel, and that ultimately the whole planet. That's Ezekiel 25:12 on down. That's Ezekiel 37. That's Daniel 12. There's so many precepts, man. Micah 5 and 7. What is that? Baruch 4. Read that whole chapter. They said we're gonna put paraphrasing. We're gonna put our foot in their necks. I believe that's Baruch 4 verse 25. But you read the whole chapter, mainly starting from the 15th verse, but read the whole chapter. It said a star, a meteor for a gracious king, Isaiah 14 and 12. Now that's Lucifer, which is the white man. Lucifer is not the spiritual demon, Satan, lurking somewhere in hell. It's talking about the super elite of the so-called white man. The super rich, Revelation 22 and 16. So they're telling you what this means. They're telling you Numbers 24:14 is talking about our Lord. So he's going to come down and jack up all these nations with Israelites, with the angels. I, Jesus, have sent my angel to testify to you these things in the churches. I am the root and offspring of David, meaning right there, this is why we don't want to talk to you Christians. You're a bunch of dumbasses. What does it mean by root and offspring? That means he came from the direct line of King David. So he had to have a physical father, and his father's line had to go directly back to King David. Joseph had to be a direct descendant of King David. It says, I am the root and offspring of David, and the bright and what? And morning star. No, morning star is Lucifer. He's the devil. Well, the devil's coming back, and he's going to kick your ass. So it says, according to an early Jewish interpretation found in the Targum, I don't know what that's all about. Got to look into that. This verse was a prediction of the Messiah. So even the JJs say this is a prediction of the Messiah. The famous pretender in the reign of Hadrian, that was a Caesar at that time, was called Bar Kokhba, son of the star. I mean, that wasn't the Lord. Let me read a little bit more. So I almost can't wait until that video pops up with vocab, just to see what happens, just to see what happens. Okay, there shall come a star of Jacob. Literally, there have come forth a star of Jacob. And the verb is prophetic or historic tense of prophecy, denoting the certainty of the event. And he said the latter days. So it goes on to say a star is a fitting image of, fitting image of an illustrious king or ruler, right? King of kings and Lord of lords and King of kings. And the mention of the scepter in the words which follow is that it seems to have been with reference to this prophecy that the pretender to the title of Messiah in the days of Emperor, it should be Hadrian. It said Adrian. There was a guy, some bugged out nigga claiming that he's the Messiah, saying, I'm the son, I'm the star, I'm the bright morning, and people were following him. It said the son of a star, the right Kaba, which is Bar Kawakab or Ben Kawakab. Bar is Aramaic for son of. Remember Bar Jesus? There was a guy named Bar Jesus, or Simon Bar Joseph, which is Peter's name. That was Aramaic, which is a form of Hebrew. So Bar Kakba, or Bar Kawakaban, Bun Kawakaban, son of the star. The words of the Magi, we have seen his star in the east. That goes into something else. And that's why it's good to go into these commentaries just to see what they're thinking, man. And just to have more ammunition when we say something. If we go to a prophecy, we're dealing with a Christian, and we say this means that. No, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that. You're wrong. I said, well, wait a minute. There's top Christian scholars that say the same thing we say. So are they wrong too? And the most High set us up to be a sharp sword. Isaiah 49. Anyway, let me do this. Let me do this here. Get ready to close. Okay, where is it? Okay, so this is a garrison, which if you go to Luke 19:43, I believe, I may go to it. It says that they're gonna, thy enemy shall set a trench about thee. This has Roman garrison image. So what is a garrison? When they build a wall around you to keep you in, keep you locked in. So you have physical walls. Matter of fact, let me go to that. Let me go to Luke. So the last garrison that Esau is going to use on us are the MOTB. So he doesn't need to put a wall around you. He knows where you at all time with that Karagman, huh? Like back in the day, still today, if you charged with a crime, right? You may not have bail, or they may let you go on a ROR, on your own recognizance, ROR, but they may put an ankle bracelet. Well, guess what? The newest ankle bracelet is going to go between your index finger and your thumb, which is the MOTB. You're going to find out that Great Millstone was always right. We don't got no gimmicks. You're not going to see us riding on horses. All right? You know what I'm hitting at. But anyway, they give people to this day an ankle bracelet. And if you go outside of a certain limit, they're gonna know where you went. So guess what? That's an invisible invisible, what do you call it? A garrison, right? Now, where did I say I was going to go? Oh, Luke 19. And I believe, I'm almost positive it's 43. For the day shall come upon thee that thine enemies shall cast a trench about thee and compass thee round and keep thee in on every side, and shall lay thee even with the ground, because they're going to destroy the temple. They're going to destroy Matthew 24. Not one stone shall be placed upon another, Luke 21. And they and thy children within thee, and they shall not leave in thee one stone upon another, because thou knewest not the time of thy visitation. What did that mean? That meant that the Lord prophesied that when you see these people coming to your land, the abomination that maketh desolate, then flee. So the ones that took it, took what the Lord said, they fled. They said the Romans, they get ready to jack everything up. The ones that didn't, they died. And they were starving. They were eating their own children. So now, if you go to the commentary, it's going to tell you that it's the Romans. The enemies are the Romans. Okay, what I wanted to do? Okay, I wanted the word trench, right? Trench is another word for a garrison. But I'm going to show you that they're still using it. The ultimate garrison is the MOTB. Because if you don't want to take that trench, that the Karagma, then you don't buy or sell. You're outside the system. You're off the grid. So how you going to eat? Enemies, which are the Romans. If you go to commentary, they'll tell you that. All of them will tell you that it's the Romans. So it's not Lucifer. So here we go, trench, right? Trench. The word is karax. That's the root to the word karagma. So what does karax mean? A pale, a stake, a palisade or rampant pales between which earth, stones, trees, and timbers are heaped and packed together. That's it. Those are called, in the Hebrew, those are called, that one would be called a karax, which is the root of the word karagma, which is the MOTB. So what they would do is they would build a fence, then they would put stone and mortar, because that's the foundation. Then they would put stone and mortar around it to make it strong, so you couldn't break it down. You can break down this fence. You kick the fence a couple of times, you can break it down, but they build the wall. And Jerusalem was compassed around about with a wall, so they built a wall around our wall. And this is a palisade, a karax. I don't know why you guys can't get this. Come over here. All right, let me see. Let me do this. See, this would be a palisade. But this, and you see it's wood, like palisades. Now this right here is to keep people out. So let's say this is Jerusalem, right? It's a fence walled city, right? What the Romans did, they built a wall around our wall. So you couldn't get up. So we ran out of food. So the same thing with the wall down there on the Mexican border. It could be used for two things. It's to keep people in or keep people out. Because when hell breaks loose in America, people are going to be looking to get out. Okay, so I showed you that. I wanted to show you another. If I can find it, where is it? Oh, where the hell is it? Where the hell is it? That's not it either. Bear with me for a minute, please. Okay, I found it. Okay, so this right here, I put in NYC police towers. Guess what these towers are? They're nothing but trenches. This is a garrison. This is a garrison. They keep in communication with the main precinct, and a precinct is a garrison. If you go through a red light and the police officer stops you, he's going to put down his precinct number. He's going to put his tax ID number because it's a business. It's a lawsuit. All it is, when you get a ticket, you get pulled over, going through a red light, a stop sign. All they're giving you is a summons to appear in court because he just issued a summons on you for this lawsuit. It's a lawsuit. So how do you pay? You pay money. So you can deny it and say, well, I went through because of this. It was yellow, and you dispute it, and the judge believes you. He'll say, well, I'll let it go. Same thing with a major multi-million-dollar lawsuit. The two parties come together. That's called a tribunal. Tribunal, the word tri means three. So you got the cop, you got yourself, and then you got the judge. That's three. So that's a tribunal. Now you can turn around and beat the case and then turn around and say, I want to sue the cop and the city because they pulled me over because I was black. Because he has a record of that. You bring in the evidence, that's another tribunal, goes to a higher court. And what they normally do is they'll settle out of court. So if you notice, most of these are in like the hood. This proves that this is Rome all over again, man. And then they went, I remember when the police had blue, they wore blue. But look at this. This is NYPD in front of Trump Tower. Let me go click on that. Look at that. That's the NYPD. This is a paramilitary organization, man. They militarized them. What is that? I don't know if that's somebody tell me. It looks like an AK-47. They got the boots on, got the mask on, they got the helmet on. They're ready for war, man. This is not your favorite friendly neighborhood police officer. This is all militarized. These are police. Police and militarized. Why does he have that stick in his hand? To beat people down. And we used to say that's going to happen in America. Guess what? It go back to 2020, 2021. What happened over the George Floyd incident? Jake was tearing shit up, man. Look at this. Look at this. They militarized the police. Let me come back over here. Now, when you go to the Apocrypha, you go to Maccabees, it mentions garrisons a bunch of times, and even in the scriptures. Let me come back to him. Let me come over here. These are garrisons. The precinct that you're arrested under is part of the garrison. It's like I said, it's a trench, so to speak. But the ultimate trench is going to be the MOTB. Anyway, with that, I'm gonna say shalom.